Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Barnard Refresh Friday Q&A, which is a summer series led by the Student Life Office to help reintroduce students to campus resources and staff who lead these resources. Every Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time, you can find us live on Facebook or YouTube interviewing a staff representative from an office on campus. Then the following Tuesday, for Treat Yourself Tuesday, we will be tabling in front of the tent on Federal Field with great treats, and you can get to connect with staff members and also the member we interview in person. Today, we have a really special guest, Wendy Garay, who is the first year class dean and dean for international students. I'm a native of San Juan, Puerto Rico. Wendy Garay has been at Barnard since October of 2015. Prior to this role, Wendy was the associate dean for international and intercultural student programs at the college. She started her career in higher education in 1996, building her experiences in enrollment management, student affairs, and international education at institutions in the US and overseas. She is a proud Women's College alumna, earning a bachelor's degree in psychology from Marymount College, Tarrytown, and Dean Garay also has a master's degree in higher education administration. So without further ado, let's welcome Dean Garay.
Thank you, Deshawn. It's nice to be here.
Thank you so much for doing this. We're really happy to have you here and to speak on, all the resources that you offer to not only domestic students, but also international students, which is why we have you here, because you can speak to both of these populations.
Absolutely. No, I'm happy to share information, and I'm happy to get in front of our students as often as I can so that they can learn about resources, but also find me easily, hopefully, as we start the school years.
Yeah, most definitely. So let's have you start out by telling us your role on campus, and you have many of them. You wear many hats, and kind of what does your office do?
Sure. So I would say the two most important roles, or the ones that the students will know me by, are my first year class dean and also my dean for international students role. Basically, as the first year class dean, I help bring our students on campus. So I help to onboard them on the academic end, right? So I help out with things like making sure they're ready for their first registration round and the ones that will come after, making sure that they're matched to pre-major advisors, that they have essentially all the academic information that they would need to start their year successfully. And this also translates to our international students, which are part of our first year class. But what's different about my role with international students is that I do get to be their dean beyond the first year. So after the first year, I still continue to be the dean for international students for all our international students, while our first year students will go on to our sophomore class dean. That's the biggest distinction. But this is an exciting time of year for both groups, and my favorite time of year, again, because I get to meet all of our new students. And I've learned over the years that every class has its own distinct personality and way of communicating, which makes the summertime a lot of fun to figure out how to best deliver information and engage the students. So that's sort of where we're at right now, is getting that started.
Yeah, most definitely. And, sometimes it can be often difficult, especially for these populations, to be able to utilize the resources because, as we always say in the field, like, you don't know what you don't know, especially when you're supporting students with different identities. So, for first year students who may not know the, appropriate questions to ask during the crucial summertime before they transition into the college, and same with international students who may not know, the resources that they should be utilizing. What should they be doing over the summer? Like, what is something that, your office may find that many students miss, and they're kind of calling you up like, hey, I didn't know I was supposed to do this, and help me out?
So I will say that our students are incredibly resourceful, but I think right now in this moment, because the accounts have just opened to start communication with new students, I will say that the first most important 2 points of contacts for our students are the first year, what we refer to as the first year accounts, which is first-year at barnard.edu. That is an address where you can email any question you might have under the sun, and we will either answer it or route it correctly for you. So it is just a great resource if you just really don't know where to start, right? If you don't know exactly what door to knock on. And for our international students, they can also use that address I just shared, or ISS, which stands for International Student Services. ISS at barnard.edu is the equivalent of that for an international student, which again is the catch-all. I never want our new students in particular to feel like they need to come in knowing where things should be. Barnard is small, but it's resource rich, right? And so just having that main point of contact, will get you routed in the right direction. Beyond that, I will say that right now is the time of year where we begin to send out what we call the first year guide, which is literally everything you need academically. It's an introduction to some social structures on campus, how to perhaps navigate your pre-major advising relationships with faculty, those sorts of things. That guide addresses all of these topics, and it's been broken up into installments. So that's going to be coming out every 2 weeks out of the first year dean's office. It'll go to the Barnard email account. So it's something students should look out for, should read as quickly as they can upon receipt, because it will tell them sort of how to focus their energies for the next 2 weeks. It used to be sort of a large guide. We used to send it out all up front. And I think it could be overwhelming. So hopefully the installments make for a more enjoyable experience reading all of these things that we can do.
Yeah, definitely, because you're playing into folks' attention spans, and also kind of making it more manageable. Because I remember when I was a student going into college for the first time, and I just remember getting this packet of like all the information you need to know. I'm like, this is overwhelming. I don't know if I'm going to be able to understand and get through all of this. So I definitely appreciate the installments, and hopefully students listening will feel comfortable and empowered to reach out and even say, hey, I've done this, that, and the third. Just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything, and kind of building those relationships now with you and your team members to utilize you all, because that's what we're paid to do, is to be as a resource for students.
Absolutely. I will add to Sean, for our international students, because again, all the first year experience things apply to them as well right now. But our international students, who have very, very specific immigration issues, should be working with our international student services offices, which I oversee. And again, their questions can range, right? It could be as simple as they're coming to Barnard for the first time, and those questions look very different than, our returning students, right? That may be facing different immigration questions. So always in that scenario, ISS at Barnard.edu is, managed, around the clock. There's ways to reach us around the clock, so they should never fear that they don't have support, and they should always reach out as needed. So.
Yeah, especially navigating things like visas and OPT and all that good stuff, definitely, utilize, ISS, for all of those questions, and make sure that you have everything that you need to be successful here at Barnard. So we're always, fascinated about programming or resources, whether it be passive or, active, programming opportunities. Is there anything that your office is doing over the summer to connect with students, whether it be through programming or kind of pushing out additional resources?
No, and actually, starting tomorrow, and students would have heard about the first round of this already, we will be doing 1 hour lives over Zoom. Our first year class will get the invitation for this, but essentially we'll be featuring things that line up with the guide I just mentioned, and also with tasks that students need to be working on during that time. So for example, tomorrow, our first year experienced faculty will come on 10 Eastern Standard, and they will talk about the first year experience courses that our students are required to take. What does that mean? What do those look like? What would a good choice look like? How to plan, because soon enough, we'll be doing our first round of registration, which is entirely focused on the first year experience classes. It's not a full year, semester-long registration. It's just that one class to help everyone get their feet wet. So we'll be featuring things like that coming up every 2 weeks. So we'll have our first year experience class. We'll have different departments, like we'll do the sciences, we'll do pre-health advising, we'll do the humanities, we'll do dance and theater. So it's entirely interest-based, right? So you'll be able to attend more than one. They shouldn't overlap, and in the event that they do, they'll be recorded. So we'll be sending out the recordings so that everyone can have a sense of what the departments want you to know before you select classes for the coming year.
Yeah. So, we definitely hope students will utilize that. And if they can't, depending on where they are in the world and timing doesn't work out for them to attend live, that, it's great that they'll be able to have the recordings to, assist them. So once, students are fully back on campus, I know we have some navigating campus right now over the summer, but we're anticipating that, the population will look different, this fall. So where can students find you?
So I'm located in Milbank Hall. And this perhaps will make more sense once you're on campus. But Milbank Hall on the first floor in Suite 105. That's actually where all our class deans are located. So as you move through the years, I think you'll spend a good amount of time in that office looking for your class dean. But having said that, a student looking for international student service specifically, that new suite is actually Suite 119, also in Milbank Hall. So it's on the other side of the same corridor. But that was a recent move, so that's actually news to our continuing students as well. That happened during the last year. So.
Which is nice that they can capture you all in the same hallway. A little stressful for students to navigate campus and find all of our different offices, but luckily, first year student or international student, you can, find resources in the same building, which is nice.
Exactly, it's just an L. So if you follow the shape of the L, you'll land in one office or the other. You can't miss it.
And what is one of your favorite things about your office?
I will say the class deans, and this is a great question, Deshaun, because it gives me a chance to say this, and students will hear me say this a lot. I think sometimes deans are viewed as, maybe a place where you might get in trouble, or it's a little bit authoritative, or, disciplinary, and that's not the nature of the class deans at all. That's not what we're intended to be. And it's also not what I'm intended to be as a dean for international students. We're meant to be a resource. We're meant to be helpful when our students go through some of their toughest times, both personal and academic, or anything else that might come up. We're the helpers, right? So we want to understand what has happened, where are we at, what are we working with, how do we move forward from this? And I don't know that that's immediately evident from our titles, right? So it's not the principal's office, but at a stretch of the imagination, we want, again, to understand to the extent that a student is willing to share what is the challenge or what are the challenges, and then one by one figure them out. The entire goal is always to help our student in whatever situation be successful and have the resources they may need, whether it is something academic or perhaps it's something beyond that, right? It could be something medical, it could be something personal, family related, whatever it may be. It's a place for support and a place for encouragement and a place to have questions answered, but not a place to feel as though you've done something wrong or any shame or anything of the sort.
Exactly. And I think it's, great for students to hear that they can utilize, your office for many different things. It doesn't have to be solely academic. I think it's something in student life also. We're not just, activities and clubs and organizations and, the, Glicker-Milstein Theater, we're there to support students holistically. So, having your office as, that resource and, having students hear that, yes, we're here to help you navigate academic challenges, but we could be so much more. And kind of like student life, if we've, run out of resources or like we're not the ones, most appropriate, to support you, then we'll have the initial conversation and then connect you to the many colleagues that we have around campus who can then take over and, further support you and, navigating, kind of anything that you're going through.
Exactly. No, that's exactly it. And I think one of the wonderful things about Barnard being so small is that we all know each other so well. So it's not, when we say we can connect you, when we can say we can facilitate a contact, it is really that easy because, again, we're all within, a few feet of each other, like literally and figuratively. So it's, and I agree with you so much that everyone's objective, at least everyone I've ever worked at Barnard, is to really serve the student in the most holistic way, right? Yes, I may focus a lot on academics, but I will not just talk to you about that. I will talk to you about anything we need to talk about and then figure it out from there. So yes, it's a great thing.
Yeah, exactly. And, before we wrap up, is there anything that you wanted to share that we haven't covered already?
Other than a giant welcome, because I always say, I think if I'm not the most, I'm one of the most excited for persons on campus just to receive new students. Again, they make my whole year. They're the reason I'm here. So I'm just so excited to welcome them after what has been this long stretch of strange, COVID times. I'm just excited for some sort of return to what our campus used to be like. It is such lively, energetic. Our students are so, they want me on a daily basis. And so I'm just so excited to see them in their element, back on campus, with access to everything they've always had access to. I think it will make for a really great year for those that are joining us and for those that are returning. And to the extent that I can be helpful, I have an open door policy, so if I'm not in a meeting, I'm happy to chat. good, bad, whatever it may be, you know. So so I just encourage our students to stop by as they can. But very, very excited to meet them, and a big welcome to all of them.
Yes, definitely a very, very huge welcome to all of our students who are coming in for the first time and those who are returning who may have not seen campus in quite some time. And you'll be able to, those who are around for the summer, will be able to catch Dean Wendy Garay at our Treat Yourself Tuesday event, tabling on Futter Field, July 20th. That starts at noon. So please, come by and have a great conversation with us and get some lovely treats and, practice some self-care in that moment as well. And as always, attend Camp Millie on Fridays, look for information about the different activities that we're having in the Student Life newsletter. So again, thank you, Dean Garay, for, being here. And we look forward to, seeing the many things that your office has to offer our students.
Thank you, Deshawn. Thank you for the opportunity.
See you later, everyone.